As you may know, Peak is a game about climbing a mountain with your friends.
Does anybody need food? Thank you.
It's a very simple premise.
We've crashed. We're gonna have to eat each other.
With fairly basic controls.
What does that do?
There's only one way to...
But the game has way more details than you might first expect. If you don't mind some spoilers, then keep watching as we look at Easter eggs, fun facts, and just general cool details in Peak. As with any ill-fated adventure, we begin at the airport. I happen to make this video just after Halloween, hence the spooky decorations. There's pumpkins, paper bats, and quite a few skeletons, and wait. Anyways, this place has a few fun details hidden in plain sight. There's a couple of information boards that are constantly updating with new info. It claims to be departure times, but it's just a bunch of dots and dashes. This, as you might expect, is actually Morse code. Depending on how it looks when you check it out, you're likely to notice a bunch of repeats, but there are actually 7 different names that can appear, each belonging to one of the game's developers. Onwards, Bing Bong. You know him, you love him. Bing Bong is a character created for Peak, and he's the mascot of Bing Bong Airlines. As such, his likeness can be found all over the place. That actually includes the kiosks for starting a new match and inviting friends to your lobby. This string of numbers separated by dots is actually text. If 0 is A, 1 is B, and so on, then 1, 8, 13, 6, 1, 14, 13, 6 converts to Bing Bong. On that topic, did you know that for a short time after the game's release, the Bing Bong plushie was able to be possessed by developers in order to speak directly to streamers?
Wait, Bing Bong, I'm here.
Bing Bong, say ally.
Ally.
Who are you, Bing Bong?
This is sort of similar to another Landfall game's game, Cluster Truck, where the developers could mess with streamers.
Oh no!
This feature was removed from Bing Bong mid-June, and our favorite plush would remain silent until a later update. Now, you can use Bing Bong to give him a squeeze, and in response he'll regurgitate one of many different voice lines.
You think that's a bad idea? You should ask your friends for help.
Among the many odd lines, he can sometimes just say,
I miss my wife.
According to a developer, her name is Miriam. Also, according to a Ask Me Anything hosted by a couple of the developers, Miriam is doing well. They're on good terms. She's seeing another guy now, but Bing Bong and him get along. Sometimes, he and Bing Bong go out for beer to watch the game together. Additionally, I want to shout out the bug phobia mode, which makes the game less scary by replacing a bunch of creepy crawlies with Bing Bong. The being bongs are cute. The scorpions, not so much. Anyways, let's move on to the shore, where any new climb starts out. Scattered around the crash sites are a number of fun and useful items. Also, the flying disc. You would think it's a great tool for knocking down coconuts for easy harvesting, but I've only ever seen it ricochet off my dome before I fall over. If you look real close at the underside of the flying disc, there's a bit of black Sharpie writing that reads Jonathan. This is actually a fun reference to a character played by Flowerland YT in some of Nucknom's content.
Jonathan Frisbee spawns wherever he likes. Jonathan Frisbee wants a coconut. You've a mischievous side to you, don't you?
It seems Jonathan Frisbee got a bit of a reputation, and now he's forever immortalized in this game. Also nearby are plenty of conch shells. I know that's a very common item to find on a beach, but it's probably definitely maybe most likely a reference to another game by AggroCrab, aka Another Crab's Treasure. If you don't know, it's a really cool Souls-like game that I've previously covered on the channel. In that game, your first shell, aka Krill's home, is a pinkish conch shell. Oh, near the crash site you could also find the guidebook. That's kind of important. It acts as a tutorial teaching you how to move, sprint, jump, climb, and so on. It's written by Scoutmaster Myers, who makes sure to put Rule 0 front and center. Never abandon a friend in need. If you keep this rule and his many tips on not dying in mind, then you may survive long enough to reach the campfires located atop each biome. There, you have a chance at finding a torn page, which turns out to be a supplemental diary entry written by our very own Scoutmaster. If you read them in order, they actually tell a bit of a story. It seems Myers found and ate a knapberry, placing him in a deep slumber. When he awoke, the rest of the troop was gone. Surely they wouldn't just leave him behind. There's no way they broke Rule 0, right?
Oh no!
Never abandon a friend in need isn't a rule. It's not even a motto. It's a threat.
Trying to find you guys. Yeah, guys, there's some static going on. Guys, I'm scared. I think there's a monster. Oh my goodness, there's a monster! No! No, what is this? No!
The Scoutmaster is a hostile entity who can appear in response to either the Scoutmaster's bugle or whenever a player gets too far away from their teammates. It's a really spooky and effective way to make players work together. And fun fact, the Scoutmaster's model can actually be found loaded in out of bounds in the airport. Call him Sam the way he's been there the whole time. A much less malicious, hopefully, cryptid is simply known as the Looker. It's an NPC that has a very rare chance of appearing somewhere on the mountain. All it's coded to do is be there, looking from behind a smooth rock. If a player looks at them, after a few seconds the Looker will disappear. According to the current game code, that's all there is to the Looker, but who knows? Maybe we'll learn more in the future. That said, you ever heard of a capybara? It's the largest living rodent native to South America, and it's just like so chill. I'll probably never get to hang out with one in real life, but it's very doable in Peak. Located in either the Alpine or Mesa biome, it just depends on which is currently in rotation, capybaras can always be found in either a hot spring or oasis. A yellow winterberry is guaranteed to spawn atop the head of a capybara, making it an easy source for the Gourmand badge, which we'll talk about later. Also, if you bring and play a bugle of friendship, or Scoutmaster bugle near the capybaras, you'll get the Animal Serenading badge, which unlocks the Crab Hat, one of this game's many references to its developers, Crabfall, which of course is a combination of Landfall games and AggroCrab. Now, I want to talk about this game's various biomes. The game launched with the Shore, Tropics, Alpine, Caldera, and Killen, and of course, the Peak. The game has since been updated with the Mesa, and around when I'm making this video, the Roots, which are new biomes that will occasionally replace the Alpine and Tropics respectively. Since the playable map is procedurally generated and changes each day, it's very possible that you've only witnessed a fraction of what's possible when it comes to the biome variants, so let's look at them. The Shore's default variant is just, yep, that's a shore leading to a big ol' rock face. Of the Shore's 5 variants, Snake Beach is the only one that drastically changes the shape, generating long snake-like sections of rock that could make for a very odd climb. Red Beach has more reddish sand, while Blue Beach has more kind of blue-gray sand. Jelly Hell looks similar to the normal shore, but with a greatly increased number of jellyfish. Last, Black Sand is by far the wildest variant, having whiter stone, black sands, chains instead of bridges, and just so many giant urchins. If you don't know, beaches near volcanoes can have black sand due to an abundance of basalt fragments, so this variant is actually more realistic than you might first expect. Also, the chains make me think of the Ely Chain Walk in Scotland, which is a real-world example of permanent chains being used to navigate a cliffside. I learned of it a while back from Tom Scott's video on the topic, so here's a second shout out to him. The Tropics is a lot of green, trees, vines, spikes, and rain. Just so much rain. Pillars results in more pillars, while lava has lava. Ivy gives the Tropics a more purple look with more poisonous plants spread around. Thorny increases both spiky and non-spiky vines, and Sky Jungle can have floating islands. Bombs has way more bomb shrooms, which are the yellow puffballs that can fling scouts off of the mountain. The trees have yellow leaves to match the bombs. For Alpine, Geyser Hell has an increased amount of geysers, lava has lava, and Spikes, you guessed it, features giant spikes. And for the Mesa, Cactus Forest, Cactus Hell, Dynamite Hell, Scorpion Hell, Tornado Hell, and Humbler Hell, all of which increase the corresponding element. As for the Roots, you'll just have to play and see because I have no clue what's in store. I'm making this before the new biome is out. The update will of course include some new badges, which are essentially achievements unlocked for performing certain actions. Each new badge gets added to your character's sash and unlocks some kind of cosmetic. The Speed Climber badge is rewarded for escaping the island in under an hour. I managed to do this solo a few months back, and I've gotten progressively worse with every subsequent attempt. It rewards the Courier Hat, which is a reference to Landfall's high-speed game, Haste. If you climb past the Alpine without ever getting more than 20% of your meter worth of cold, you get the Bundled Up badge, rewarding an ice blue and ice pink outfit. This is a reference to the blue and pink ice climbers, Popo and Nana. If you use the binoculars to look up into the sun while in the Mesa, as a pittance, you're given the Astronomy badge and Matrix glasses, which I think is a reference to that one movie series about pills or something. The Balloon badge has nothing to do with the balloon items, instead being rewarded when you escape without taking fall damage. The balloon outfit you get is a reference to Up, looking quite similar to Russell's scout outfit. If you escape after cooking and eating a half coconut, honeycomb, yellow winterberry, and egg, you'll get the Gourmand badge, and aggro mouth and eyes. This lets your scout look similar to AggroCrab's logo. Also, this game allows for cannibalism. What fun. Letting your hunger take over and eating a fellow scout rewards the resourcefulness badge, and Laboo mouth which is a reference to Labubus, the weird-looking spiky teeth money erasers. You can also get this badge while cannibalism is disabled by eating a cooked bird, which has a 10% chance of dropping from big eggs in the caldera. And the last badge I'll mention for now, the 24 karat badge is fairly involved and is much easier said than actually done. You must offer the Killen a worthy sacrifice, which means delving into the Mesa's tomb, navigating its treacherous halls, and emerging with the ancient idol, which is a golden bing bong with gems for eyes. It's also the heaviest item in the game, which makes carrying it up the mesa and across the caldera quite difficult. If you drop it into the Killen's lava and escape, you'll get the 24 karat badge and bing bong beanie. Speaking of valuable items, in the same patch that added the mesa and all that other stuff, a large statue was added to the backside of the peak's peak. In the statue's hand is a glowing pink sphere. As of the writing of this video, it has no purpose, but who knows? Perhaps this will be a crucial piece that's needed to unravel the game's lore. Or maybe it's a giant piece of candy, like a Jawbreaker. Now, before we close out the video, I want to go over some content that was added along with the Roots update, which of course is very new. So, big news guys. According to the patch notes, Bing Bong has been granted visitation rights by the divorce court, so he can now visit his kids on the weekend. Additionally, using some mods to get around easier, I checked and there does seem to be some kind of functionality added to the strange gem. Using it will have text that says gem activated and gem deactivated, but beyond that, I have no idea what it's being used for. It might not actually have anything else going on. The new update also added a new mystical item, the Book of Bones. Using it while solo just turned me into a skeleton, which is spooky. Becoming a skeleton afflicts you with some curse, which can be avoided by cooking the book, and it makes you immune to all status effects except injury and curse. Any damage you take is 8 times stronger, so you become quite brittle. Using the item as a skeleton removes some curse and transforms you back into a scout, which I guess could be a handy way to reset your hunger without the risk of immediate death. While I don't think this ever happened in the anime, I'm pretty sure this is at least partially a reference to the Death Note from Death Note. Also, whenever the item is used, the book opens and there's actually some text on the right hand side, which, as it turns out, is a quote from a popular Swedish drinking song, Halen Gore, which is pretty neat. Anyways, speaking of spooky stuff, the Roots biome also has zombified scouts covered in mushrooms. If they bite you, you'll get the zombie infection, which will continually inflict you with more and more spores until you either transform into a zombie or get cured. The zombies are similar, if not maybe a reference to the zombies in The Last of Us, which are also reanimated by a parasitic fungus. The update also overhauled the cooking, making it so there are now more positive and negatives to cooking depending on the item. Previously, if you cooked a rope or chain launcher, it would just make them useless. Now, cooking certain tools is straight up dangerous. Antidote, Cure-All, Fairy Lantern, Pandora's Lunchbox, and Sunscreen will explode when cooked, applying their effect to everyone nearby. Cooking a flare, lantern, portable stove, or scout cannon causes a big explosion, which knocks you back and deals damage. Of those items, the scout cannon's explosion is the most deadly because it's the biggest and most hurtful. Also, I checked, objects getting cooked by the caldera's heat will cause an explosion, so be extra careful in that biome going forward. Also, if you cook an energy drink, using it will apply its effect and knock you backwards, which I guess might be useful depending on how you use it. Also, late addition, I realized that the bugle actually is affected by cooking. Here it is by default. And then, if you cook it a little bit, and then when it's fully cooked. Annoying your friends has never been easier. We'll close out the video with this. Bing Bong will gradually get worse the more you cook him.
I'm not sure. Okay. No. No. If you wanna. I don't know. Definitely not.
Uh-oh. I don't think he's going to be able to talk to his kids anymore. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Big thanks to my channel members for their support, and a forest-sized thanks to Shay for being a super fan. If you enjoyed this video, why not leave a like, maybe subscribe, go ahead and check out my video on another crab's treasure. Maybe I'll cover Haste in the future, or any other landfall / AggroCrab Games. But that's it for this one. Thank you so much. Goodbye.